Elvis came from the South, from the cotton land of the Mississippi Delta. Even now, the South is different from the North. 50 years ago, it was almost another country.
What on earth is wrong with you? Hey, little car. What on earth is wrong with you? Now you have a little new cane, and your milk is turning blue.
When I was a young boy, first songs I sung in public were Elvis.
Elvis was the most important thing to have happened in music, maybe ever.
He was a pioneer, and he's still getting it on, man.
He's more popular now than when he was alive.
The most popular thing probably in American culture is Elvis Presley.
Everything about him was timeless.
He will never die.
Elvis, he was princely, and then he became a king.
He lives in our hearts now, and he will live forever.
Elvis is alive.
Elvis Presley is gone, but he is surely not forgotten.
He was the most revolutionary pop musician. He crossed all the lines, you know, mixing the black culture with the white culture.
Elvis was a kind of blender, you know, for black music, white music, country, big band.
If you had played me Bo Diddley and Elvis Presley, I wouldn't have known whether they were white, black, or green. The music kind of obliterates that.
I think he bridged the gap between rock and roll and whites and minorities. Elvis Presley was probably the first white person to get involved with the rock and roll thing. So I think it's a wonderful thing, Elvis Presley, wonderful person.
To me, Elvis Presley was really the rock and roll phenomenon that was the catalyst for my generation and your generation to tune into blues music, because that's what he was playing, you know, his early Sun recordings.
But I mean, I think all kids who were 16 and about, war babies as we were, I think we all loved Elvis's voice, no doubt about it.
When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever.
Elvis had a whole nation in love with him. He had women that was losing their minds behind Elvis, and that's some stuff your moms used to get off too. You may be here because of Love Me Tender.
He was real gracious. He drove me all around Graceland in a golf cart and was showing me, the horses, the stuff, the things, the trailer where he lived when they, whatever. And I think it was Lisa Marie's second birthday party. So I just remember him, every time we would go into some amazing, great room, beautiful gold trophies, stuff, things, and I'd say, wow, man, this is amazing. Every room he'd say, yeah, Bill, they've really been rough on me, man. They've really been rough on me. And I said, yeah, they're killing you. And so when he came to see me at the Sands Hotel, I had a dressing room that was like this. And he walked in and he looked at me and said, yeah, Bill, they've really been rough on you, man.
Despite his heavy touring and performing schedule, Elvis found time to lend a word of encouragement to up-and-coming talent.
I got a note from him one time, years ago. We did a version of Jailhouse Rock on Fandango, another half-live, half-studio album. And he said, don't ever do that again. No, he said he enjoyed the version, so I kept the note.
The beat of his heart
was just like the rhythm that was in his soul for people. Elvis loved people, but Elvis knew exactly how far he could take himself with someone and not impose on that person, or he would find their personality out and then have more darn fun with them. You were with one of the most honest, sweetest, decent, funniest, generous human beings that had been through a lot as a child that could have caused him to go exactly the opposite. It didn't. Elvis, to me, is a champion in every way that a human being can be a champion.
When I was putting together this kind of postmodern rock star, which we call The Fly, it was very much in my mind, it was the same character that sat in Gracelands and shot out the TV, and the sort of meltdown was interesting to me. Not as a freak show, but as a almost Shakespearean character. It's like Lear. People talk about, you know, Elvis in the 50s, and Elvis even the 68 special, this kind of extraordinary Adonis, sort of American David. They say that that's the moment where they came undone to Elvis Presley. But I don't think so. To me, that's him in a way at his vainest. It's a period that we shouldn't ignore, that Elvis went through the rock and roll phase, became a Las Vegas performer, but then almost through his weight, not just his overeating, but just the sort of gravitas of a guy who's actually run out of life and love, he became an opera singer.
Time goes by so slowly, and time can do so much. Are you still mine? I need your love.
You know there's a man who really needs it.
We were on tour in Louisville, Kentucky. And this was about 4 months before Elvis passed away. And Elvis, the night before, had a very difficult time. He felt he had a fever. He felt nauseous. He felt flu-like. He couldn't sleep. He had a very, very difficult night. It was late afternoon, and Dr. Nick was Elvis's doctor, who traveled with us, was in the bedroom with Elvis. I was in the front room. The television was on, and there was a pounding on the door, which was very unusual because we owned that floor. No one was allowed there. We had security cops positioned in front of the elevators. Everything was blocked off. So who would knock on the door like that? So I immediately walked over to the door, looked through the peephole, and there's Colonel Parker, who never came to visit Elvis on tour. I opened the door. I said, "Colonel." He said, "Where is he?" I said, "Well, he's in the bedroom. Let me tell him you're here." He said, "No, I'm going right in." So he, with his cane, he walked past me. He opened the door, and this is what I saw. Dr. Nick was holding Elvis's head. Elvis is in the bed, semi-conscious, almost comatose. And he was moaning. He was in such bad shape. And Dr. Nick was dunking Elvis's head into a bucket of ice water to revive him. The door closed. And I thought immediately, okay, this is good. This is good. Now the old man, Parker, is going to see what's going on here. He's going to see how bad, the bad shape Elvis is in. And he's going to do something about it. I mean, he can't allow this to go on. It's inhuman. 90 seconds later, door opened up. Colonel Parker walks up to me and and I get up. We stand toe to toe, and he stares coldly into my eyes. He says, "Now you listen to me. The only thing that's important is that that man is on stage tonight. Nothing else matters. Nothing."
Let's do that country song. I really don't want to know.
Oh, how many arms have held you and hated to let you go. How many, oh, how many, I wonder, yes I do. What a rain, and how many lips have kissed you and said your soul aglow. Yes, how many, Lord, how many, I wonder, yes I do. What a rain, don't want, I don't want to know, I don't want to know.
Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to my father. You know, he's been sick for a while, but he's doing very well. Hey, Dad.
Less than 2 months later, on August 16th, as he was preparing to go back out on tour, he was found lying on the floor of his bathroom at Graceland.
Somewhere around 1:30, if I'm not mistaken, the phone rang. And it was my cousin Patsy. And she's totally broke down, and she said, "Elvis is dead." And just like that, I said, "Patsy," I said, "wait a minute." I said, "You know, calm down a little bit." I said, "And tell me what's wrong." She said, "Well, they've taken him to the hospital and said he's dead." I said, "Patsy," I said, "now we've done this a lot of times." I said, "You know, this ain't the first time." I said, "It's probably just another one of those situations where he couldn't breathe good." And I said, he'll be all right. And to me, you know, I mean, I could never imagine Elvis dead. I mean, the man was bigger than life to me. So she insisted that he was dead. So I hung the phone up, and I told my wife, I said, "I got to go to the hospital." I said, "Elvis is in the hospital." And she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, Patsy says he's dead." I said, "But, you know, maybe when we get there, everything will be, you know, okay." So I ran out of the house, and the only thing I could think about was jumping on my motorcycle. I had to get there, and I didn't care how, you know. And when I went in, Charlie and Joe were standing there, and Charlie grabbed me and he said, he's gone, he's gone. And Joe said, and he was crying, and he said, he said, "Elvis is gone this time." I said, "No, man," I said, "he can't be." I said, "Where's Dr. Nick?" He said, "He's in the other room with him." I said, "Well, then there's still hope here." And about that time, the door opened, and Dr. Nick, he walked out, and he's got these tears running down his eyes. And he reached and grabbed me, and he said, "He's gone." He said, "Do you want to see him?" And I said, "I don't think so."
I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. Dylan.